Am I muted? What is up? Ready to roll. The crew is already in the house, man. Look at you guys. Connie's here. Ticker tap. Man, the weekly stream. We were almost. Sorry, it's early. I mean, was I late? I don't know. Not really. Like and subscribe. Absolutely. On the way in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Give everybody a little bit. I can't see. Oh yeah, we got a couple, we got 100 or so coming in hot. Were you guys, were you talking about me? I don't know. He shall appear. He shall appear. Look at this guy. What is up, everybody? Man, when Tommy finally, I got the audio. We're good. And yes, you guys are muted. And I missed all of you also. Always missed. We are in the hood, in the hole. The boy is good. The boy is, man, kiddos grow fast. That's all I can tell you. Kids grow crazy fast. And it is just, we got another one on the way. It's getting close. It's getting game time. Game time. What is up? Crew is still coming in. By the way, if you guys don't know, we have a meetup this weekend. It is Mother's Day this weekend. So happy Mother's Day coming to all the mothers. But we also have a event with the community, I guess extended community with the MITS community. And we'll be in Chicago this weekend. Chicago. So if anybody wants to hang out, show up. I think we have a couple tickets left. I haven't talked to them in a while, or at least not this weekend. But last I heard there was like 25 or something tickets left. I'm not. It's always both. You're always like excited and nervous at the same time. Gotta be excited and nervous. And yes, the baby will be Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown incoming. A football team. You know, you never know. Could be a football team coming. Could be. We shall see. Is it possible to see your webinar about options anywhere? I mean, if you signed up, I think as long as you showed up for a minute, you got a replay. But hop into the server. The server is free, by the way, guys. I always get questions about that. Listen, the link is in the description. Don't really know what to say. You can actually here. I'll drop it right now. Does this work? That may work. That may work. But yeah, if that doesn't work, I'll drop another one here. But jump into the server. It's free. You can ask whatever questions you want. There's a lot of people there. We'll do all kinds of like, I have recordings of old webinars. Look, I've been doing that earnings one for, man, I don't know, 5-6 years, something like that. There's another link here too, if that doesn't work. But yeah, BMNR is up 5% today. What's MSTR up? I mean, Coinbase is up 7, was 7, now 6.5. MSTR up 4. BMNR is just like, it's been depressed. It's been depressed, man. That's all I can say. Plus leverage on the way up, leverage on the way down. So, you know, we shall see. We shall see. All right, you just posted the link off. I don't know if you guys can post links. But anyways, let's get on with the show, boys and girls. Are you ready? Because I'm ready. Just about ready, at least. Look at this. Look at these thumbnails. It's almost like I just took the picture. Is that funny? It's almost like I just took the picture. Absolutely, yes. Nebius. So Bitty coin, 80K. Is it a big deal? We'll talk about it. There's some there's definitely some good stuff happening. I think we got to me, this was in the works for weeks, quite frankly. I will say that I think we should see near 100, maybe not exactly 100K, but very close to, and that's been in the cards for a while. Same thing with ETH. I think ETH will have probably more room, but we'll talk about it. If you guys are new to the channel, by the way, for sure, give the video a like if you get anything for free. Well, always free knowledge. That's definite. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Appreciate all your support. So here's what we do every Monday, as long as the market's open and when I have a chance to kind of like debrief for a bit, we kind of go over what's moving the markets this week, what moved markets last week, what do we have to look forward to, what's on deck in terms of maybe some potential trades, and yeah, what can we expect from the markets this week ahead, and what kind of headlines really do we need to watch out for? So coming into the markets, I think first things first, like Iran rejects the White House Hormuz proposal, and I think it was in the aftermarket, something like that. We were pretty red for a minute. Let me just check. Yeah, SPY had gapped down overnight. We're slightly higher than that, and then immediately bought up, which, by the way, has been the theme, right? Like every Friday, it's been almost the same kind of scenario. Over the weekend, we get like a little headline. It's maybe not the most bullish. We kind of gap down on the Monday, and instantly the market gets bought up, and that's not changing. I think this is like the fourth or fifth week in a row, probably the fourth week in a row. And we even got Iran hitting UAE with cruise missiles. I mean, and yet the market remains and it holds a bid. So maybe we're not as high as we were on Friday. This is an important level. I'll talk about it. But we have some breathing room. I mean, we're coming off all-time highs literally on Friday. And we were very nearly there this morning. So, I mean, what's a couple points, I guess, in the grand scheme? So then the US launches Project Freedom, and apparently we're gonna escort ships through the Hormuz Strait. So the Strait of Hormuz, the blockade. And I think I got a headline this morning, like maybe 2 ships actually went through. And yeah, we'll see. So we're gonna get through headlines, then we'll check in with our friend who we appropriately call Miss Cleo. She'll give us a little extra sauce for the T and TA later on today. But and we have United Arab Emirates leaving OPEC Plus in May, which kind of adds to a little supply uncertainty. So we have oil popping basically on all those top 4 headlines, and yet the market still holds a bid. Who thought we'd see oil over $100 or around $100 for this long, and not have I mean, the market just completely shrugged it off. So I think, that's a tell. It's a tell for sure. The market is not, I'll just say this, still concerned with these Iran headlines. They're like, we'll figure it out. And I've been saying this for the last few weeks. Unless oil's like over $100 or so for, I don't know, 6 months, maybe, I don't know that we're going to have a massive impact. Look, I live in California. It's not the most expensive gas in the state, or like the area of California that I live in. It's Willow Glen, but I'm seeing $7 a gallon gas already. And I know that there are places like, we have like Big Sur, which is kind of like camping area. It's hard to get gas up to. That's like already $10 a gallon. I'm pretty positive that the Californians are going to see $10 a gallon gas, if not higher, this summer. How that's going to affect the market, I don't know. It doesn't affect me because I haven't filled up a tank and I don't even remember. And I own gas cars. I don't even remember last time I filled up a tank. Probably because wifey does it. But you know, does it really affect you? I will say this. It doesn't affect the consumer anymore nearly as much as it used to. So all the fears of 1970s oil inflation, lines around the block, listen, that's never happening. It can't happen anymore. Even whatever the last Ukraine oil situation, oil hit like $120 a few years ago, which is when we had like $9 something a gallon oil. And even then, like, we can't have that kind of situation because the US is mostly prepared for this kind of situation. So anyways, that's what we have. The one gas station. Yes, that's the one. If you guys look it up, it is literally, I think it's like $10 right now as we speak. Used to gas, high gas. Look, I'll drive by the gas station. I saw nearly a 7 handle and I'm like, wild. And yet markets are still green. So, I mean, the market's super resilient. I just don't think the market really cares that much anymore. Maybe this is how they get you. Very possible. Maybe this is how they get you. But we're still coming off of peak earnings, which are good. And I think the bigger thing is that we have a transition into this month, into May, that I think could create some uncertainty. We have a new Fed chair coming in. By the way, Fed holds rates at 3.5 to 3.75%. Powell, his last FOMC conference last week, made his farewell, but is remaining a governor. So your savior, Powell, is still around in a matter of speaking. So I think that's good. That's probably good for the markets during this transition. So he had questions about, like, is this a political move? I don't think it's such a political move, but it's a pretty cool move by him. And I think it if his logic is to create some sort of a leveled understanding of the market, we're like, okay, it's not a hard shift. So, Powell is a big believer in perspective drives a lot of pricing in the market. And I think he kind of did this with that in mind. So, yeah, I mean, if gas goes another 25%, the thing is, though, and this is immediately where the market goes, for how long, right? And so, like, maybe gas pops another 25%, but for how long is the issue? Maybe it's a day, maybe it's a week. It's immediately going to be like, oh, well, this is a temporary condition. And it may well be, maybe it's not, we don't know. But that initial knee-jerk move is going to be, oh, it's a temporary condition. And then we'll see. It'll be TBD from there. So in the meantime, yeah, semiconductors. I mean, the entire generational AI build out is literally the next industrial revolution. This is a brand new, this is a once in a lifetime kind of build out. I mean, this is like akin to the internet, akin to the industrial revolution. I mean, it's just insane, right? And it is a absolute raging bull market in that area, not just semiconductors. The whole picks and shovel cohort of anything to do with AI as a whole. And if you don't know, there are different levels or layers within that view. Yeah, maybe some of them are going to get over, ahead of their skis. Definitely. Rambus, cough, cough, down like 25% on earnings, if you know where to look. But look, it's still up from like a month prior. And in the meantime, the market doesn't really know what the next big winner is going to be. So it's kind of lifting all of them. We saw Qualcomm, we saw NXPI, we saw Sanmina. we saw a ton of 15% plus moves on earnings last week alone. And it's just like, dude, okay, the ecosystem is growing bigger than the semiconductor industry. Like it's broadening. So I think Jensen's note to everybody on GTC was more or less the edge is next. And I think that's actually what we're seeing. In the meantime, that is cooling. AI boom offsets any Iran war impact, right? PC came in last week, by the way, slightly cooler. GDP was actually a little hot, and it kind of holds everything as a static rate, meaning like, okay, the market's coming to an understanding that rates will be higher for longer, right? And it keeps getting longer. And that's why we're seeing, I think, maybe why we're seeing a little bit of this like gold dropping below. Plus, the CME is increasing margins on like things like silver. We saw like a big drop in silver. CME again, increased margin requirements. But listen, higher for longer from a rate perspective, generally speaking, makes metals less attractive. If you want to consider that an entry point, who knows? I think that at least, you know, a good few months of more sideways action is in the cards for these commodities. But yeah, this is part of the story. So understanding how the market's interpreting all the data points, how things are interconnected, that's what this is about, right? Meanwhile, you're like, why is Nvidia in the dumper? And people are like, dude, I thought all roads led back to Nvidia. Well, guess what? Nobody talked about GPUs so far, right? No, in the earnings. What did they talk about? Custom silicon, right? Whether or not custom silicon or a new chipset, i.e. NPUs, which is why Qualcomm and NXPI made those massive moves. NPUs, by the way, do not replace GPUs. They're in addition to, and they go on the server side at what we call the edge. But anyways, listen, that I think Jensen's commentary would be that the custom silicon from Amazon or Google TPUs just does not generate the same kind of ROI as an Nvidia chipset. He's probably right, but in the meantime, people are like, oh, it might be less, and you know, we'll go for that. But the expansion in the broader AI capex table, if you will, is not. It's like we have training, so they train the AI models. So that's Anthropic, GPT, Gemini, whatever, and that's done in large part at the central data center, right, where they have the massive build outs, and then it's served out to the customers, which is what we call the edge. And that's not typically where a lot of the massive compute happens, but that is now where the market's realizing, oh, this edge, we're going to need a ton of CPUs. Yeah, still GPUs, but a ton of CPUs. That's where these things called NPUs come into play. That's why you're seeing Intel just absolutely rip through levels and sustain that hold. Look, there's still a few more earnings to come of companies that focus specifically in this edge area of the market. If you know where to look, I think there's still definitely opportunities. LPUs, I don't know anything about this. This is NPUs as a neural processing unit. But anyways, that's what's going on. And that is why Nvidia is not, you know, catching the same kind of bid as it normally would. That said, do you believe that this custom silicon is actually a threat to Nvidia? Actually, probably not. So maybe Nvidia itself becomes a tradable situation. Probably not. When you really realize what's going on, the custom silicon stuff is such a small piece of the pie. I just think that Nvidia becomes maybe a little underrated in this scenario. But sub $200, listen, it was just at 160 the other day. I think that's your support, 165. And it is range bound for a while. It has been range bound for years, actually. So hasn't quite broken out yet. I think earnings is going to be a big tell. Now to crypto, threat to their margin? No, I don't think it's a threat to their margin at all. Maybe it promotes a good market, but so I don't think that the custom silicon is actually being sold for much less. I think it's higher margin for Amazon and Alphabet, but I don't know that it's a lot cheaper to the end users per se. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. But 195.90 was a gift. Yeah, I think, you know, on the hyperscaler custom silicon stuff, it's more like a call option. I don't think it's all roads lead back to Nvidia either. I think there's room for everybody. So but at the same time, the entire market's growing. So I don't think that actually changes the story for Nvidia specifically. That's just my 2 cents. But to crypto, finally, a little clarity on the Clarity Act. A little clarity on the Clarity Act. This is a good one, right? And what they did, shoot, I closed it. But what they did is they actually, so if you look at things like Circle, Coinbase, etc., part of the reason why Circle was down previously was because the Clarity Act, which is this, you know, government approval thing, it basically disallowed staking as a form of income. And I believe now that they've clarified that within the Clarity Act, where as long as it's a revenue generated by transactions, it's all good. I don't think that the staking piece alone is fixed or gone back to where it was. So just so you know, that's part of the news that's actually driving the entire cryptoverse. So Coinbase, Circle specifically, it's helpful for the Bitcoin price action, which we are, I think we're still over 80K. We'll see. But yeah, regardless, you know, we're about just barely over 80K, coming up to, we're still onto the 200-day SMA. So still got some ways to go, but this was a big hurdle, like a big psychological hurdle. I would assume some chop back and forth, but I would not be surprised to see the opposite of a flash crash. What is the opposite of a flash crash? I have on my charts up to just around 90, 88, near instantly on this. So we shall see. So moving on to earnings, we actually got a lot last week. So we got, what do we got? I think we got Verizon, sleeper of a stock. I haven't looked at the chart yet. Verizon earnings, I need to do a lot more work here. I think that there's a play or position here where it's probably okay to add into this, even though it's up significantly. These telcos, I should just leave it there, but these telcos are massive data center builders, by the way. I don't think people really realize that. AT&T kind of sold their optionality, but if we talk about the edge of the network goes all the way down to your cell phone, and the connectivity to get to your cell phone, I think becomes a thing. And I think that's kind of like a sleeper tailwind for a lot of these. T-Mobile, probably, maybe Charter. Charter just absolutely got decimated this last week, so maybe I'll look at that later. But I think I need to do a little more DD on this. I think there could be some serious beneficiaries, but we shall see. Visa, huge move. I don't know why, like, I think it was, or Amex did not do the same. MasterCard, I think MasterCard did well. For Celsius swing, no, well, think about what we're talking about. So we're talking about the themes here. So the market is very thematic in general. It's just something like a Celsius goes in the box of like a Procter and Gamble or a General Mills. Like they're in the same sector, honestly. And if you look at those stocks, PG or GIS, they don't look that great. Coke did okay. Amazon price action is good, although misses their own expectations. Jassie's trying to turn their corner here. I've never been a fan of Jassy, but you know, as a CEO, I guess I'll give him a little break. He's starting to grow on me. We'll see. But yeah, I think back to an acceleration here. Again, via the AI build out, not as fast of a grower as the rest of them, but optionality nonetheless. If you think of like Google and Amazon, you know, a lot of their move is on this custom silicon deal. What does Microsoft not have? I mean, Microsoft growth, I think from a percentage term was better than Amazon anyways. Google's cloud growth is going to be amazing. I don't think you should celebrate that, honestly. They're a massive laggard. So they damn well better be growing at a much larger percentage. To me, that was always like the catch-up trade, but they have a lot more than just cloud going for them too now. So they have YouTube. They have a lot of other stuff that kind of makes it like a pretty complete play. So I think that's heading over to 400 plus over time. But maybe give it a bit to breathe. I mean, Caterpillar, that stock has been on an absolute tear. It keeps going up. We're 875 right now. That thing hit like 900. Yeah, cracked 900 after having just this massive room. Again, a sleeper AI build. Like if you're going to build all these data centers, this is just wild. You don't think of how deep the stack goes of what is catching a bid, if you will, in the market and why. Caterpillar is a fracking AI play. Like besides construction equipment and stuff like that, they actually do have like power generation stuff. I think Deere is up next. I think they have a little bit of a story there. I really don't. I'm not expert by any means there, but also if you're long America, it's not a bad stock by any means. And you can look at other like adjacent stuff. People don't know, like United Rentals, URI. Maybe you're renting that gear. If you look at that stock, URI from 800 to 1,000 post earnings in one session. I mean, there's a tell. It's obvious. It becomes like glaringly obvious. And when I say raging bull market, this is what I'm talking about. You look at a stock like Caterpillar, you look at a stock like United Rentals, and you're like, what do these have to do with AI? And you're like, dude, if these stocks are doing what they're doing now, based on this generational data center build out, it's just like, oh my God. Like when you scroll through the list, you're just like, oh my God, I don't understand. I don't see it. Like you just don't see it anymore. Like you don't see how could we crash? Like when you actually know what to look for, these are not small companies, guys. And you're like, it is a enraging bull market in the right spaces if you have the right exposure. And then there's all these re-ratings going on, like NXPI, Qualcomm. That's a re-rating story. Sanmina, re-rating story. Dude, it's like, okay, Nvidia doesn't have to go up for the market to go up, right? We crash it. But the thing is, there are names that have gone maybe a little too far, too fast, like RMBS, specifically Rambus. There's not a lot. But even then, it's like they're not really crashing that much. Like you can't crash Caterpillar that way. So like you can't crash United Rentals that way. Microsoft is already crashed. Like, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do? So the sentiment is just, it's too far along to really crash. Can we pull back? Yeah, for sure. And if you're looking at things like Celsius, I mean, it's not a good look. It's just not a good look. General Mills, not a good look. But in certain areas, it's a great freaking look. Even Apple. I mean, Tim Cook leaving, pretty epic quarter. Yeah. They mentioned custom silicon. I don't think anybody noticed, but it could be a thing. Could be a thing. Anyways, so that's what happened last week. Take that with a grain of salt and look forward. Oh my God, PWR, Quanta Services, things like that, dude. This is getting wild. So Texas Instrument on semiconductor. Listen, everybody's gonna look at this today after the close. I don't even know how to do a poll. Plus or minus 10%. We're gonna go there. Yeah. Yes, and even better, like quarter ahead of Apple. For Microsoft, dude, I couldn't agree more. But as long as you have a very long time horizon, like if you're buying Microsoft under 400, expecting it to moon in this year, don't even like you're going to be selling yourself short. That's my opinion. Not financial advice, but I think you'd be selling yourself short. But yeah, maybe it is what it is. Plus 10. Look at this. Plus 20. Dude. Plus 10. I don't know. Everybody thinks it's going up. Yeah. He wants to be. But the thing is that guys, if you ever see Steve the Milkman, you know how they reference, like they say Asian Steve? Can we just all agree that we should start calling him White Jason? White Jason is much better, right? So I don't know how to make a poll, guys. I have no idea how to do it. But if you see Steve on stream, just be like, it's White Jason. It is what it is. So he wants to be a day trader. He could try to be a day trader. It takes years to create a system and really understand what's moving markets and systematically approach. But yeah, it is good. I do like what he's trying to build. I don't know about the I've DM'd him a couple times, but happy to help him. Actually could use a little bit of his help too, trying to build some stuff on the back end. There's a lot of stuff that we're working on. A lot of stuff. But anyways, yeah, Palantir is the big one right now. Hoodie survived, by the way. That's good. If you have grab people, Palantir, I feel like is a toss-up. This one, I don't think you want to sleep on. On is up a massive amount. So this is on semiconductor. These are stocks where, like, if you look at this, you see, yeah, you'll look at this and you'll be like, what? You missed it. You probably missed it. So on semiconductor, this was earnings here. I mean, you're up 100% in 6 weeks, something like that. I don't know that something like this gets taken down, because then you look across the board and you're like, Texas Instruments. Again, do you know where to look? This is after earnings. Like, it was already doing this and then finishing move post earnings. I don't think on semiconductor misses. Texas Instruments trying to come in for the highs too. ASML at the highs. I think this is more like what you could expect from on semiconductor for sure. But it's already at the highs. Yeah, it's a wicked move. But again, if you knew where to look, look, short term, I don't care about hood. You guys are asking, or if you own it and you're thinking it, I don't think you should care. Understand the market, understand the theme. Is the theme fintech? It's not fintech unless AI really enters the brokerage world, which is in a meaningful way, which it's not really, and definitely hood is not bringing it to market right now. So like, no. In terms of fintech, what would AI do for that sector? It's like, well, it would probably help generate better loans, things like that. But we already have Affirm and Upstart. It's not really where Robinhood's playing. So they don't really have a play. So I think it's neutral as hell. I think that it could get an upside surprise. And I think if you're looking at it short term at all, it's just the wrong way to look at it. Hood, look at it this way. When Hood gets approval to run equity perpetual futures on their brokerages, he's gone. It's just absolutely gone. Is that this year? Probably not. But is it potentially coming? Very potentially. In the meantime, you have stuff like this, microchip technologies, cough, cough. Probably, by the way, I got to trim this. Gonna move on semiconductor tonight. So it's a big deal. Powell, I thought Powell already reported. Okay. So this is a stock that is Powell is a stock that is quanta adjacent. Again, look at this. If you don't know where to look, you're like confused. Why is the market ripping? How are we still high? But what I'm talking about, like when I say raging bull market, I mean, dude, raging bull market. These guys have a new, I did a little research on this, so shout out to whoever mentioned it last week. But they got to deal with a big boy. This is $10 billion compared to PWR Quanta. Best chart ever, by the way. I mean, which should see 1,000 if this continues. 113 billion. It's literally 1/10 the size. Very, I mean, nearly the same business. But coming into the big boy world, I mean, yeah. So these guys, Quanta was up 17%. I don't know. I don't know that this is done. I just don't know. It's a small cap company, smaller cap. But they report tonight. Also, oh shoot, this company, STRL. This is what I'm talking about. Sterling Infrastructure, Cat, Deer, whatever. Look, listen. Sterling engaged provision of construction solutions through the following segments: transportation solutions, infrastructure solutions, and building solutions. I mean, transportation, infrastructure. I don't know what probably energy infrastructure. Look, 16 billion market cap. Infrastructure develop advanced large-scale site development systems for data centers. It says it right there. Infrastructure is data center builds, e-commerce, distribution centers, warehousing, energy, and more. I mean, look, raging bull market. Yeah, you know. It's not side play to TSMC. It's side play to Amcor, bigger than Amcor. Well, yeah, it is. Okay, so and they are both side plays to TSMC. If in doubt, write a credit spread. I mean, Fastly's had a good run. This is literal edge. We've talked about it ad nauseum. I think there's a bear case and a bull case. It's going to be very binary, extremely high beta on Fastly. And then tomorrow, AMD drops. And it's like, dude, AMD drops, followed by, I don't know, ARM. I mean, dude, what are we doing here? VST? Don't hate it. Dude, this stock, Granger, probably does well just because of everything else around it. Coreweave, Rocket Lab, dude, Coreweave. Did anybody see I ran this today? I ran in Nebius. Dude, Cloudflare, MP Materials, plus 29. Another 29 on top of that, another 33 on top of that Wednesday, another 26. I mean, dude, DigitalOcean, if you didn't know, it's a DevOps AI platform. It's cloud scale platform. Eaton Energy into the data centers. It's all tied together, man. It's all crazy tied together. But like, if I'm certain, what is tied together? Really tied together? APO. Johnson Controls, check that chart out. Flextronics, yes. I mean, Cohere. Oh, okay. This one down here, COHR. Yeah, you guys go look at that chart. Lumentum, Astera Labs, Arista, SMCI, even little Devon Energy, little. Cheniere Potential, Wolf, oh God. Enbridge, big one. You don't know. I don't know FIS. But everything that I just kind of threw a little box on, these are all directly tied into the AI data center build as like ancillary plays. Like they're all benefiting from, except Rocket Lab, from this generational build out. And I'm like, oh, how do I forget Fabrinet? Oh my God, look at that chart, right? So like, when you know, you don't need to be an expert, but like, just generally speaking, what most companies do, I mean, dude, go look at these charts on a large time frame. Throw a weekly chart on there, and you'll be like, I don't care if these stocks get cut in half. How is this going down? And maybe they do. Maybe they do. But my God, right? Like, it's just insane. Yeah, I think this is key. What Daniel's saying here is very nuanced. The nuanced word is bottlenecks. You can paint the landscape, but then if you go one level deeper and you're actually able to say, okay, here's the landscape, here's the general system view, high level. This leads into that. Follow the money, right? The AI models, GPT, whatever, Gemini, they create the demand. You pay them monthly fees. For them to generate what they do, they have to spend money, right? What do they spend money on? They spend money on Nvidia, all the custom silicon, all that kind of stuff. Where does that go? It goes into the data center, so they have to buy servers, et cetera, and so forth. The server data center gets money. They rent land, they buy equipment. All that equipment is created from this, that, and the other. It's all powered by energy. Like, dude, it goes deep. But when you're able to identify of all these supply chain demand that's created from here, what is a handful of bottlenecks? That's saucy, right? Like that's the special sauce. You should own Enbridge. Did you look at the chart? Yeah. I mean, when you look at the chart, you're like, this thing's ready to roll. It's ready to roll. I mean, that's a big time, just saying. What was the other one? Sterling Infrastructure, long term, right? Like, what did I say? Oh, Fabrinet. Watch this. Fabrinet. Like, dude, okay, no charts, no lines, no lines. Look at this. I mean, Eaton. Zoom out. I mean, COHR, I mentioned this. These are weekly charts. These are weekly charts. JCI, Johnson Controls, I mentioned. What do you know about these stocks? I'm just saying. ASX is that ASE Technologies. I mean, need I say more? I don't think so. What else do we do? I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot on here. Arista. I don't know. Feel like she's ready to roll just now. Like, I look at Arista, which is a godlike chart, very good company. And then I look at a Cisco. Like, Cisco is on the, it's actively breaking out, right? But is Arista actively breaking out? Not really. It's been about this price for the last year. Talen Energy. No, not TLN. TLN. That's a weekly look. I mean, stocks look, yeah. What can you say? What can you say? That's what I mean. You look at this stuff and you're like, dude. Even some of these, so like some of them came in hot, right? Schneider Electric. Dude. There are a lot of pieces in here. You're like, really? Like, dude, Qualcomm hasn't even started. Hasn't even started. As I go through this, you're like, what are these? What is this stock, right? Oh, it's down 2%. Who cares? I mean, dude, look at this. Is Sanmina post earnings. There are a lot of stocks in here that you may or may not know. Ensys, like, dude. Cat. It's just yeah, Nokia was in there. It's just insane. Generac, Dicom. Yeah. When you think about what hasn't gone yet, there's my Fastly chart. And what's still left, it's just like, man, oh man, there's still more to go. And they don't have to break out, right? They don't have to break out. But how does this new core steal super cycle? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, dude, it's very hard to be bearish when you have this perspective and you're like, even Rambus, which was down 25%. But look at the chart where it's at. Like, it's not even double beat. SIVE. Yeah. Oh, this is the OTC, I think it was, right? Yeah. I'll add it. This is parabolic. Yeah, I don't even have this. I don't think that's US tradable. But the point is that it's not as concentrated. Flextronics, dude. That's on the list this week. Even Flex could come down 25%. It's not really going to matter. I think that's mine. It's not going to be that big of a deal. EME, 40 billion. The original Neo Cloud. This is the original Neo Cloud. Iron Mountain. Dude, AGX, you guys might not even know what this is. And you're like, oh my God. Light earnings. Yeah, you're right. So it's hard, but it's also, it's crystal clear. Lattice. Yeah, absolutely. Lattice. It's crystal clear when you know what to look for, that this is a hush hush on this, that this is a raging bull market. What do you know about Ambarella? But you buy anything, right? If you buy anything, should you buy it expecting it to like not pull back 10% and it still be perfectly fine? Like you should, if you buy anything, you should be prepared for 10, 20% pullback and know that like it might still be fine. The stocks of this is, I mean, crazy. Yeah. I mean, but that's what I'm talking about. If you don't know these stocks or where to look, you'd be like, oh, we're toppy, we're coming down. At the index level, that's kind of, it looks weak. At if you look at SPY, it looks kind of weak. But then you look underneath everything, you're like, I need to shut up. That's what I'm like. I'm like, I want to be bearish at the index level, but then I'm like, I need to shut up like right now, because that's dumb. I'm like, dude, so can we pull back this month or the next couple months? Absolutely. But long term, let's not lose sight of the bigger picture, I think is my point. And yeah, it'll be nothing long term. As long as you keep the right perspective and not be, first of all, there's no YOLO. Do you see how many charts I just scrolled through? There's people are all, and I say this all the time in our group, that people are always looking for the next 1 in a million trade, right? That's, everybody's always like, oh, I'm hunting for the next 1 in a million, 10 bagger, whatever, right? Dude, it's not the case. First of all, that's never the case. What it is, the case is that this is 1 of a million. And every trade that you look at that looks amazing, Celestica, whatever you guys are talking about right now, it's 1 of a million. It is not 1 in a million. There is no 1 in a million. These are literal 1 of a million, Sandus. It's 1 of a million, right? There's too many opportunities and too many things happening to get caught up on it, right? And so you don't want to be, one, over leveraged at the highs, right? But know that you can spread yourself out here and you'll probably be fine long term. So forget, yeah, they're looking for 10,000 baggers, man. 10,000 in the 4-year cycle, yeah, for sure. But in the context of what's going on, first of all, we had a little bit of pullback so far. It's the things like Robinhood that I'd be mostly concerned about. It'd be things maybe even like Palantir that I'd be concerned about. The things that are not tied yet, and I say yet with a big asterisk, yet, to this thesis, or the theme, rather, the theme, whatever theme is going on. By the way, this is not the only theme. It's the most prevalent theme. It's not the only theme in the market right now. The other themes, space. Did you guys know that GLP-1s, you know, it's a big thing, right? GLP-1s, there's picks and shovel plays for GLP-1s. Like, for real. There are really picks and shovel plays for GLP-1s. I'm not going to give you any names. You can look them up. But yeah. But if your stock does not fit in any of these themes, like, the market's fickle right now. So like, if it's not thematic, the market really doesn't care. Because why? Because they're literally 10xing everywhere else. So why would you go into a Kraft Heinz? Right? Why would you go into maybe even a Unity software right now when it's just not the place? Or, you know, gold miners at the moment. Can Celsius power workers for the data center build? I mean, oh, you got to think out of the box for this kind of stuff. So GG on that. I don't know, but that's the idea. Anyways, again, subscribe to the channel if you guys like this kind of stuff, but this is what we do every Monday. So coming up, moving forward, I think this is, yeah, this is the deal. So we don't really have anything on deck right now for Monday. We have ISM services coming in tomorrow, Tuesday, and we have JOLTS. These are going to be actually pretty important. As long as, so what's weird here is that AI, I think in reality is actually decreasing the workforce. We're seeing a lot of layoffs, especially at the hyperscalers and the big tech companies. We're seeing a ton of layoffs, right? And does AI give those people that are being laid off the opportunity to make more money sooner than later? Meaning, like, can they get off their butts, create their own business, and maybe this becomes a whole nother SMB kind of explosion, small business explosion move that we've seen in the past, like baby boomer kind of thing. TBD, right? But that's going to be the question. In the meantime, what's true? Every Mag 7 is laying off a lot of people. Oracle laid off like 30,000 people. So yeah, in terms of, you know, the pullback in the market, that can create massive pullbacks. And we still have this oil shock. We still have a lot of other stuff. So I think it's temperamental. But what's not in question and what you shouldn't really question is if the generational data center build out is real. I don't think it's questionable. And if your stock is not necessarily tied to that or any other theme, you know, it's whatever. I like Celsius, you guys, but I'm not adding unless it's $25. I mean, my time frame is decades on a Celsius. And if you're not on that time frame, I mean, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing. I can't relate. I cannot relate. I like to pick bad companies to buy puts on before earnings. You know, that's not horrible, right? But before earnings is gambling. So, but yeah, I think actually the 10%, the down 10% sentiment is what we've been seeing. And so the theme in general across earnings season was that I wanted to see was that do the winners get punished more than the losers, or do the winners get rewarded more than the losers are getting punished? And I think here's key. What I think is key to the market in terms of earnings right now is that number one, no, the winners are about 15% or more on the upside. The losers are about 10%, generally speaking, on the downside. So I'm seeing winners be rewarded more than losers. Number two, who are the losers and why are the losers? I think Rambus is a good, RMBS is a good case in point, right? RMBS. Double beat and guide up. Double beat, increase guide. $12 billion market cap. But did it get ahead of its skis? Down 25%? I think maybe it did. And why would this get hit on earnings? Did it really reverse the whole trend? No, it's not reversing, number one. Number two, what didn't it do that all the winners did? Well, who are the big winners? Sanmina, right? Big winner here from earnings. Like, this is up. And the stock goes from 185 to 220. I mean, that's crazy, right? 25%. Texas Instruments, huge move. I mean, this is what I'm talking about, big move. These are outsized move. Texas Instruments, 20%, right? We know NXPI. So what are the common denominators here? 26%. The common denominator is that these companies are re-rating, really, Qualcomm even. They're in the process of re-rating, and the market, Qualcomm goes from on by the way, not even that great of earnings, but on what? On the sentiment of new lines of business that is not on the balance sheet today. Lines of business that are not on the balance sheet today. That's what's key. And a growth rate that is not expected in this moment. or that was not priced in before the report. So did Rambus do that? No, Rambus did not report any new growth that wasn't already in the stock price. It did not report any new lines of business that was not already in the stock price. And therefore, it was priced perfectly, and it needed maybe a little too hot, and it just came down. We saw some profit taking because there's no incremental upside, right? No, that's the key. Not just guide up. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a brand new line of business, a brand new like piece of growth, that a brand new driver that's driving massive growth in the company as a whole. So unless if you're like status quo, then it's not really, you're probably not going to go up. So for Palanterians, I mean, if they're status quo, but report 100% growth rate quarter over quarter, year over year, whatever, I don't think is going to move the stock. It needs to have something special, something new that the market didn't anticipate, like a new product or something like that. I think that's important, right? So that's what we need to watch for when it comes to earnings. In the meantime, we have labor market that's going to weaken because of AI, probably in the short term. Wednesday, oil status, ADP. We're getting a bunch of Fed speeches now that FOMC is behind us. They can all talk, right? We get jobless claims Thursday, and then it is the all-important non-farm payroll number drop on Friday. And so I would say typically coming into a non-farm payroll print, the market is usually sideways, usually fairly sideways. And it's all anticipation of Friday. It's not, sometimes we move on Friday. Sometimes the move is exaggerated on Friday and reverses the following Monday. But I think what's important is that after Friday, after this week, next week, if we can hold the line, call it 700, 690, whatever. Let's call it 700 on SPY. If we can hold that, that's going to be super important, right? As long as we're trading over whatever Friday's high is, simplest terms. If we're over Friday's high, we're going up. If we're below Friday's low, we're going down. And you should know, we should know about like where we should go. If you know our NFP system, yeah, that actually tells you exactly where we will go. And so I don't have any question about that. To me, that's an easy play. Before we get into Miss Cleo, I want to do one quick thing. Our buddy Evan, Stock Market News, does a cool little post. It's just like a catalyst watch. But it's not just earnings, it's other catalysts in the market that we have to look forward to this week. I didn't mention Berkshire. Berkshire up on the new CEO. I think he did pretty good. So massive earnings. We kind of touched on that. Disney, is that earnings play? We're going to find out today. Shopify. Look, I think this one's super important. Is advertising being affected right now? And I think the market is going to make a decision on AppLovin, Trade Desk, the whole nine on Shopify earnings. It's a big one. But anyways, today, Tyson Foods. Yeah, like what are we doing, Tyson Foods? No. Fly, new IPO. We'll see. I don't know if that even has options to trade. IPO watch, Rare Earth Americas. See, this is why I look at this. I don't even know about that. Rare Earth Americas. That's an interesting one. China Labor Day break. Okay. Federal Reserve Senior Loan Officer Opinion Survey, bank lending practices. Might be important, might not be. IBM. Look, IBM got hit because there's really not any AI. I don't think. I just said that. I don't know that that's true or not. That's my opinion. But IBM's investor 4-day conference, I guess annual conference begins. Oh, Milken Global Conference is a big one also. So you'll see a lot of coverage on this on CNBC. It's a 3-day event, the Milken Global Conference. That's a big one. CEG reports at the end of the month. Look, this is an energy play. It's a big deal. No pickle. And Yeah, that one got hit in the past because they have the biggest deal with Microsoft to power some of their data centers that got pushed out to 2030, not by their fault, but by one of their the integrators. Devon Energy, Coterra. I mean, geez, a merger that would be massive. That'd be crazy. This is the one for me, Arista. I am long Arista. I love this stock. I think it's been kind of underappreciated by the market for a very long time. Pfizer, I'm not expecting anything. They might talk about their GLP-1 Metsera, but I think that's got a long ways out before it actually becomes a thing. AMD, man, I don't know. This is gonna be wild. It's gonna be wild. I have no idea what to even kind of think for AMD. We talked about this. This is Circle. It has to do with the Clarity Act clarity that was issued today. So rewind if you want to catch it. CoinDesk Consensus Conference. So CoinDesk Consensus Conference happens on Tuesday, tomorrow. That's a big Bitcoin one. Michael's going to be there. Sailor, any of the Sailor fans. Fed speak. Here's where the president's speeches start coming in. Yeah, Corning. Ooh, see, I didn't know this. Corning will hold an event for investors and analysts at the New York Stock Exchange. I wish I could be there. Very AI adjacent, intertwined. Boeing deliveries comes. Look at that. Boeing deliveries comes on Wednesdays. Did you know that? Probably not. Yeah, this is McDonald's. 6 new crafts, including, all right, Starbucks, Taco Bell, and Dutch Bros. Whoa. So Starbucks on a reversal. Ads and 3 crafted sodas. Wait, so the new crafted beverage lines up. Look at that. What's Bros doing? I mean, that's catalyst for Bros right there. Remember Donut? Dunkin' Donuts? Anthropic code event in San Francisco on Wednesday. Maybe they want to crush some more SaaS companies. Who knows? Thursday, Citi Investor Day. Carvana splits. 5-to-1 stock split. There you have it. You finally got it. Enbridge. Yep. Sony. Interesting. Brookfield Asset Management. Interesting. More Fed speakers. Sun City and Allegiant now. March charter points. That is mostly it. And it's going to come down to non-farm payrolls to me, right? And so non-farm payrolls here, you probably can't see it. Consensus, somewhere between 73 and 95 when the prior came in at 178. So that has room to have an upside surprise. I don't know if we will or not. But there you are. There you have it. That is what we have. Krispy Kreme. There you go. Yeah, a new compromise. So it's not staking rewards, but I think it's transaction rewards. Is it too late to buy Arista? I don't know. We just looked at the charts. Rewind. But before we get into the actual charts, we need to check in with our good friend. I said we would do this. So if you're not into this, we're going to check out the real T in TA. It's a little off the wall. If you're not into this stuff, just close your eyes for a couple minutes, but we're going to do it. The real T in TA actually stands for tarot, if you didn't know. And we're going to get our weekly tarot reading right now. All right, boys and girls. So this is your favorite part of the show. It is for comedic relief, by the way. But what happens here is our good friend, Miss Cleo, gives us some cool prophecies. And the way it works is that we get a little reading. We have one card for the trend of the week. And then for every day of the week, it gets its own individual cards. You know, I have no idea how to read this. All I know is that this Wheel of Fortune is exactly what it sounds like. It is exactly what it sounds like. It is random, and wild. And yeah, we don't know. We don't know what it will bring. Maybe she does. Who knows? So we got a king on Monday. You know, this one, whatever this is a 3 of wands, I believe it's called. That does not look great. That looks kind of boring. That we're just kind of like standing there looking off into the abyss with nothing really happening. So probably nothing really happens. And then Wednesday is 4 of coins or pentacles. So you go 3, 4, and then cups. Looks like we're having a little party. And then the king arrives on the chariot on Friday. So whatever that means, I don't know. She supposedly knows. And this is what she does. She gives us a little write-up. So before I read this, let me take and yes, this is in fact peak YouTube. So the theme card for the week, Wheel of Fortune. Does it bring fortune or not? That's what we have to find. So the Page of Cups last week gives way to the Wheel of Fortune this week. This implies a few things. What's she talking about here? A mean reversion week is possible. Day to day mean reversion is possible, like crypto, okay? Intraday, whatever, dude. She doesn't know what it means, is what I just read. She has no idea what it means, but she knows that this is a powerful card that can keep you guessing. So stick to the trades that are safe and sure rather than trying to play the casino. Fair enough. She got no idea. That's what I just read. But Monday, let's see. This card is a protector of wealth. Keep your downside safe. All right. However, he's not a creator of wealth. So I wouldn't expect a day of major gains. We're running ace to king, which could bring continuation from Friday. Tuesday, 3 of wands. This is the same card we had last Tuesday. Okay. So here was the reading. Shows up as an attempt to restart Tuesday. Could bring a reversal. Who knows? Look, if we're setting the lows of the week on Tuesday, that's usually a good sign for the week in general. Impulsive and 3, rapid expansion. Therefore, trend is very likely. And that means chasing Momo for the day. Who knows? In the off chance a trend fails. So she's calling at least a trendy Tuesday, possibly a turnaround Tuesday. I would bail and sit it out. We had king, not a queen this time, but the reading is very similar. It was a down day, but because of the gap up, not midday selling. I think that was the low for the week, I think. Wednesday, 4 pentacles. This looks like a trend day, 3 to 4. So my guess is continuation from Tuesday. She's guessing. Either way, just play momentum. Price should be linear rather than whipsaw. All right. You didn't really give me much there, Miss Cleo. Thursday, 3 of cups. So this is the one we were celebrating, right? I think so. It's party time. Yeah. Which means we're celebrating something. This card's positive bias says there might be news or a change in conditions that takes the pressure off. I can see Tuesday, Wednesday, red, Thursday, green. However, opposite could be. This is how she does it. However, how you should read it. However, I have no idea what I'm talking about. That's what I read, right? You read what you want. Cups are slow flowing and difficult to day trade. So you'll probably have to pick a side and stick with it. Last Thursday was a huge trend day to the upside. I'm now thinking red on Wednesday. Did she just change her mind mid-read? Possibly. Anyways, Friday is the chariot. The king comes to town on the chariot. Are we visiting China? Oh shit. The only thing about China is like I don't want to hear the phrase Taiwan Strait come out of anyone's mouth on the interwebs. The Taiwan Strait is heard in the news, you run for the hills. That's all I know. Taiwan Strait, no good. Actually, I take that back. If I really thought that through, the first reaction would be to run to the hills. And then the immediate second reaction would be it's too important and too big to be shut down for very long. And we have a Strait of Hormuz situation on our hands pretty quickly. So maybe it's by the dip. if you hear it, because it will dump, but then it'll immediately get bought. I would also be sure of that. So yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Like, dude, what could possibly bring the market down? What? Right? Anyways, rapid action requires fast decision making. Continuation has a higher chance than mean reversion, and the energy will either bring fast moving trend or rapid whipsaws that results in a choppy close. Okay. It's not an easy or fun week to trade. I did say it would be choppy, possibly sideways, but there should be plenty of opportunity for those that are patient. I think that's been pretty much what we've been saying all day. So I agree. BTFD. Usually I would be like, why would it hold? But in this scenario, it's like, I can think of a million reasons why it would hold. I can't think of many reasons why it would fail. So to that end, I think what's important here, usually my first look is about a 30-minute time frame chart. And so this is that on SPY, or the S&P 500 index. We were going sideways for about 2 weeks. Then we finally broke out last Thursday. And we have what we call like a break. It was very close. I'll be honest. It was very close because we had the beginnings of, and if I were to replay this, this initial setup coming into Thursday, if I were just to replay it like that, looks like what we would call a look above and fail. But in order for a look above and fail to actually validate, is that you have to hold this line, and that's 710 right here, which you probably cannot see. Oops. On my screen, and I'm going to put a little box right here. That's kind of like what we call a point of control. So about 710 low, yeah, about 710 is your support. And as we move forward on this 30-minute chart, you'll see literally that holds intraday, no breakdown, come back, retest the high, not breaking out yet. The same level, 710 holds again, I believe. Holds. How many times? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 tests. 4 tests. The Bears had every opportunity, right? Am I right? The Bears had every opportunity right here. And they really tried. A for effort, F for execution. Right here. Like they almost had it. They almost had it. Almost had it. But that 710 level, that's, I would say, is going to remain the most important level moving forward. And so as we continue forward on the chart, it brings us to essentially today, where we're still holding the breakout. We're not at Friday's highs. But again, are we going to retest? It's very possible, right? So that's my point. Like, can we retest even that 710 area and still hold? We totally can, and it would be totally fine. This is the level, though, that I don't really want to see get lost after this week. So I'd say, generally speaking, this whole area is going to be your support right here. And as long as this area holds, with the bottom of that being just underneath 710, we're fine. And what this ends up being is a legitimate break and base with a rip ahead. So that said, this is a small base, very tight consolidation. If I extend it through, this could take us to 730s. But holding this area here, this is a fib extension, we're actually fine. So I'm not worried about it. Perfectly fine. Even if this comes down a little bit, look, that buy the dip mentality is probably going to show up around that 710 area if the market gets a shot at this, right? From an average weekly range on SPY takes us, believe it or not, all the way to 740. If we do break down full, a retest of the 20-day SMA is possible around 698, but I don't think that happens ahead of NFP. I think that would have to be post NFP or on some kind of headline. Qs is even more constructive, so not that long of a consolidation here. Again, these are 30-minute charts, very short time frame. But if we're just looking at price action, and I'm talking about, here's a consolidation. Look, every time we had a consolidation, this is consolidation here. You consolidate, break, base, rip, base, break, rip, it's just a series now of higher highs and higher lows. And this is, well, you guys know why. This is, you look at the market, you look at the data stack, and we look at what's going on here from a larger time frame perspective. If I just go to a daily, we're not over Friday's highs. So until we're over Friday's highs on both SPY and QQQ, I can't really expect like major pullbacks. And what I'd say to that, even if we did, like a major pullback could legit be 50% of whatever or more of this move that we've just had our breakout from. But does it have to happen? It doesn't have to happen. And I don't think I'm going to see it happen until after Friday or after NFP. So that's, for that reason, that's why I'm like, okay, this Friday is important reaction and how the market digests after Friday. Because ahead of Friday, I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. And if we continue on, S&P 500 looks like this takes us to about 720s, actually. About 720s, roughly. And is that within an average weekly range? That's what I want to find out. Mom was calling. No, average weekly range is about 700 on the Qs and about 650 on to the downside. Hang on one second. Mama was checking in. So anyways, that's where we are. If I look across the sectors, look, Bitcoin, dollar popping a little bit, gold, like we talked about, not going to be the best thing. I think all the sectors look generally good. SPY, Qs, even diamonds on today's pullback, holding the 20-day SMA. It is the same kind of setup, break base, IWM holding the highs. Bitcoin, most interesting, if you watch my channels or any of my streams on other channels, you'll probably know that this was coming. And so anything that was over, once we crossed over, we consolidated here for a bit. Once we got through 71K, I'm like, as long as we can hold that, we should be heading at least to 88, right? And so that's what I mean by just under 90. That's my level, just about 88 initially, with support being about 70. So we're ways off the lows, but this trade has been happening for a while. If you didn't know it, now you do. Upside from there, from 88, if it continues, it can. Maximum upside here is about it's just over 100,000. So 103 right here is your real resistance where that prior breakdown was. That would be a typical, what we call counter trend bounce or bearish reversal or bullish, a bullish reversal into the bear zone, into resistance. That's your resistance. Downtrend has broken. We're making new highs, slightly higher lows. Ethereum is the same. It's actually even more kind of like nuanced on Ethereum, but it needs to get through its 220-week SMA. But again, if this was lower lows and lower highs, eventually here, right there, here, we locked on early March a higher high and a higher low, and then another higher high, and then another higher low. This was another higher high. This so far is another higher low. So on this tranche, I should see the 200-week SMA at least, or about 2,500 on Ethereum. That's just the starting point. So this is still building. It's very new, but it should at least get there, if not 3K. And if it can't get there, well, that would be just sad. That would be a sad showing for ETH. But I would say somewhere at least into this 3K area right here would be the first stop, generally speaking. That's in timeline there is, this summer. So take that with, it's not like tomorrow. But as long as it holds this trajectory, it takes what it takes to get there. But as long as it holds that trajectory. How do you join the alerts community? I don't have, so what we have is we have a Discord that you can join that will not get you the trades. you can click this to join. If you, I'd have to pull this up. If you want to join the actual community, then it's going to be a little bit different. Meaning, like, if you want to see my trades, which all of our paid members do, I think this is going to work. All of our paid members do see that, but the thing is that we don't want members to take our trades without knowing how to trade. And so the only way to do that is definitively being part of the system, being part of the school. So all of our students that are part of the School of Gains, which is what we do, this is School of Gains. You can watch this little video about, tells you what it's about. I just dropped the link. Just talk to us. Nothing's required. This is why, this is what it is, et cetera, so forth. Yeah, that's how it works. So you have to be in the school. But tell you what, book the call. It's free. You just talk to us and we'll give you some cool stuff. It's not anything more than that. Just talk to us. Yeah, and I think this is the issue, right? Because if we just had strictly a alerts community, I want to call you KK. KK is not going to learn a damn thing. If we had a monthly subscription, people aren't going to learn a damn thing. What are they going to do? I'll tell you what they're going to do, because we've had it before. And what they do is they come in, they're like, oh, okay, I have to make up for my monthly subscription I just paid, which means I'm immediately going to jump into a bunch of trades that I know nothing about, much less how to execute them. I'm going to follow, I'm going to copy paste. First of all, if copy paste actually worked, guys, everybody would be a billionaire, because that stuff is around everywhere. But they're never going to learn anything. And then they're going to actually make some money because we're good traders. And then what's going to happen next? I'll tell you what will happen next, is that you're going to think, oh, this is easy. I got this, but you don't got this. And then you're going to go and you're going to blow all the profits that you just made on your trades where you thought you got it because you didn't learn anything. You just copied and it made it look easy. And then you're going to be broke again. And then you're going to be thinking, well, shit, I can't afford this month's subscription. So no, we don't do that. What we do is, instead of offer you an opportunity, instead of paying your own tuition to learn by yourself without any kind of guided assistance, it's a 1-year commitment. Come to the group, trade with us for a year, yes, but also learn everything the right way from the beginning, from the ground up. But that's what we do. Anyways, listen. So I'm going to give you guys from here in the chat. Go ahead and drop. Yeah, you know, Go ahead and drop some tickers. I know I saw this a handful of times. So Arista, what I could say is, yes, this is a very good looking chart, very healthy looking chart. It's in it's trying to break out, like, as we speak. I don't know if this is big enough. This is very nuanced, I would say, on Arista, and that is that, look, it hasn't made the breakout like an Intel, if you will. This is an extension from this prior consolidation zone here. This literally takes us right to where we are right now. And so holding 170 is good. Is it? I think that's minimum viable, holding 170. As long as it holds 170, from a technical perspective, we should see over 200. But again, that's going to come down to earnings literally tomorrow. And what I would say about Arista is that my personal experience is that these guys are very good technology. It's very good technology, mostly sold to hyperscalers, things like that, over a Cisco, because their gear holds speeds at load. Like during high traffic times, they outperform. And I think that with AI, these are a very unique part of the network. They're called top of rack switches, mostly, that they sell. Is that every rack that gets deployed, for the most part, has an Arista switch at the very top of it. And it's very reliable, like, revenue stream from that perspective. I don't think Cisco's replacing a top of rack switch at the AI data center level. But also I will say that I do think that this is probably a consensus trade. It is expensive, unlike Cisco, where it wasn't expensive coming in, and it's now catching up to Arista level valuation. Arista is still more expensive than Cisco, even at today's prices, but deservedly so. And I think that's why we're not seeing it. But the fact that it hasn't really made a massive breakout, I think is also an upside potential. So this thing can move, even if it doesn't exceed expectations, it probably pulls back into the 140s, 150s, but I don't think it's a sell no matter what. All right, so there we go. Yeah, and if you're joining, look, we do weekly group coaching calls. Like, it's insane the amount of stuff that you learn. And if you're taking trades, just know that, if you're not in the theme, you're not in the theme. And the market is fickle, and it only cares about what it wants to care about when it wants to care about it, right? So this is not what it wants to care about right now. Is it a short though? I'm not saying that either. And this is the same as my hoodie. These guys can stay right here, just like this, for another 90 days, you guys. Like, just so you know, that's not abnormal. Speaking of, like, how long did Nvidia stay at 180? Almost a full year. Actually, Nvidia has been roughly this price for an entire year, roughly. Yeah, 278 days. It's not breaking out either. So Hood and SoFi or whatever here at the lows for, by the way, 90 days. First of all, after earnings, still holding this level, I think that's constructive. But am I thinking that they're going to break out? Absolutely not. On the other hand, as we've gone through earnings, what have I been hearing about? We have been hearing about more data center buildouts, right? More of that. And so Coreweave coming off the lows here, I thought was actually a pretty good deal. Across the cohort of what we would call, what the market is calling neo clouds, I think all of this becomes a thing. And so, like, if I were to draw this, here to here, expensive or not, it is the theme that the market likes. Finally, Coreweave is actually at my first target, 125. This goes up to 143. But again, these guys are lagging a lot of the AI builds, picks and shovel plays, Nebius included. Nebius not so much. Coreweave absolutely is. IREN is. I haven't looked at Cypher, but this whole cohort, yeah, I think is good, right? Like, is it one course? Oh, no. It's a school, Miss Law. It is a school. And so we drop classes every month or so right now. There's like literally, think of a school for trading. It's called the apprenticeship. And your general education is like 25 courses. So it's not a class, so to speak. If you go to school, if you enroll in the Harvard of trading, which is what we're building this to be, there are also going to be specialized degrees, but you need to get your bachelor's first. And that's the first thing that we have available. Then after that, there will be specialized trainings. Again, if you want to become, going to get your master's, go get a doctorate, whatever. Specialized trading in, let's say, futures or options, things like that, that are in addition separate, right? But that's what that is. So CrowdStrike, we could go on to Nebius. Nebius is not lagging as much, but it's Coreweave is like right about here compared to, Coreweave is like right about here compared to Nebius. And so this one, I think, is your highest quality NeoCloud. My God, almost 170. I would say your highest quality. This is, if you don't know what Yandex is, again, you need to research this stuff. I have a hard time. Low-key, this might be this might not stop anytime soon, but they are, Yandex is like the Google of Russia. So think of it as like, if the Google of Russia, or Google of China is Baidu, right? Google of Russia is was listed on the U.S. Stock Exchange, and then it was delisted, and then they were told, "Oh, by the way, guys, we're going to relist you again." That's what Nebius is. So what is their heritage? They are hyperscalers. Like they've always been hyperscalers. I think like if you go get a taxi cab in Russia, it's also Yandex. So like it's also the Uber. So they know how to deliver networks. They know how to be a hyperscaler. They are a hyperscaler, but they're not a. I don't think they're necessarily prepared for our market, and don't really operate the same way. Has it sold off their Russian assets? I don't know if that has anything to do. I'm talking about their like the heritage. But that's just an analogy, generally speaking. So let's go. So okay, I see a couple names here I actually do like for sure. AAON, I haven't seen. So Netflix, I'm looking at, so this would be like the safety play. I think 91, literally right here, literally where we are. This was support. So this is the low end of your support area. So if it can hold this throughout the week, I think Netflix could be a bounce play. I like this. So like if I zoom in, this is, let's go to a 30-minute chart. I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger here. Hopefully that helps. But so see this area on Netflix, about 91 right here, where it kind of bounced before. This is that last little bit of a sell-off. This is your actual, like the bottom of support. If it doesn't hold the support, cool, then your long is more or less invalidated for the near term, and you're going to pull back a lot of this pop over here. That should be back to 85. If I were to measure this from the lows, relative lows to this extreme high, this is also about 50% retracement of this area to that area. So in this entire area would be your support zone. When I said 85 right here, that matches exactly what we call like the golden pocket from a technical perspective. So that's Netflix as I see it right now. BW. Why do I not know this name? BW. Fossil renewable power generation. BNW. From Akron, Ohio. Shout out Akron, Ohio. 2 billion market cap. Charts right off resistance. I think that what's important about these type of energy plays is that they have some kind of deal with the hyperscaler. So for example, I own Talen, right? TLN, Talen Energy. You can look this company up. It's smaller, like reactor-ish play. They have coal, they have nuclear, they have fossil, or like oil stuff. But they also have, I think what makes them special is they have a specific deal with Amazon. So like we know that the Amazon's already contracting with them. Their earnings, by the way, coming May 5th. So when I think about earnings coming in for a name like a Talen or a BW, what I have to think about is that, listen, does the market already know about the Amazon deal? For sure. The market knows about the Amazon deal. So what would the upside be for like a name like Talen? It would be another hyperscaler deal. So like those are the things that are intangible that are going to move your stocks. And if Talen already has a deal with Microsoft, maybe they, or Amazon, maybe they expand their deal, or maybe they bring on another hyperscaler. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. CEG reports at the end of the month, another power play. But they have a massive deal for, I think, to bring, I think it was 3 Mile Island. Yeah, to bring on 3 Mile Island back online. And over here, that's what all of this was like, a lot of that. And then around this time, January, so they got word that, hey, it's not that they aren't going to be ready, it's that the interconnect between the data center and the power plant's not going to be ready until 2031. And you're like, oh shoot, and then boom, down goes the stock, right? Because it's a 2030 story. But doesn't mean that they can't serve. So here's CDG, maybe they have a deal with another hyperscaler. But when we think about energy, especially nuclear energy, stuff like that, which I don't know if that's what BW is, that's what you're going to be listening for sure, to me. Trade Desk, I think, is going to be a pairs trade to Shopify. Listen, they have earnings coming Thursday, but I think Shopify is going to be more important, right? Shopify will make this stock move. I think Shopify does good. I have upside, near-term upside, like 30s. But on their call, this CEO has had a track record of just fumbling the ball. So if this would be a trade, not any kind of investment here, this CEO has got to do a lot of work, to me, I think, at least as of recently. There's so much opportunity, but the second that guy was like, oh, Amazon's not our competition, the market was like, okay, you don't even know your own business. And now Amazon's advertising arm is like a massive $100 billion something dollar, line of business that came out of essentially nowhere. Moving on, Nvidia. I think, again, so 220 was always kind of like this near-term level. I had a session gap 205. From here, I think everything holds steady. I think this goes sideways for a bit. If it gets taken down during, say, like a broad market sell-off, fine. I think, the reason it's not showing a lot of love right now is because we're not hearing a lot more about like GPU spend. We're hearing spend, but then in the same breath, we're hearing about a lot of custom silicon and things like that. So downside, look, as long as it's over 200, you can chop to the upside and you have roughly 208 near term. But this is where it kind of based off of, if you can get through 210, I'd say this is off into the races, probably the 250s plus, but your time horizon has to be long. I don't think this might chop to the upside into earnings after some of the rest of these companies report, but is it like the play right now? Short term, I don't think you want to think in short terms on Nvidia, but otherwise upside is about 240s if it does get through that 210 area. ASTS, interesting one. Let's see. Earnings coming. This is going to be very binary. They got hit with the satellite thing and Blue Origin. I don't think it was their fault. But here now, the stock is losing a lot of momentum coming into earnings, though. I guess opportunity for a beat. But like, yeah, this needed to hold 76. Now, this is going to tell me 50s again. I mean, essentially retest this area. I don't know why this isn't getting back up, especially with SpaceX IPO and things like that. But I think near term, it's depressed. Space is going to be on a comeback eventually. About 58s, high 60s, low 60s is support here. And it looks like that's exactly where this is going. Come earnings, if this surprises, it's going to be a different story. Upside resistance about just under 90. That's going to remain upside resistance. So just know that. I think that's an important one. Yeah, just around 90 and then 100. But I think on this push, yeah, it's we need to see that hold higher, and it's not. But again, this is going to come down to earnings. This is going to be very binary. Near term, look, 58s is going to be your support area here. Rambus, we talked about. I think you give stuff like that. Again, it's back down to general support. It can come down a little bit lower, a little bit, but this is probably going to be 107. Probably going to be very much like Nvidia. We're like, okay, cool, double beat, raise, breakout, retest the top of that prior support here, go sideways for a month or two, and then call me. That's exactly what I expect. AAON. What do I know this? I don't know anything about this right now. HVAC. Headquartered in Oklahoma. $7 billion. I don't know. Oklahoma, there's a decent amount of data centers over there. So again, energy in general. If this company has talked about having deals with hyperscalers in the past, building data centers, cool. If they have new deals, that will move the stock. If not, I think it's more the same. This is heavy consolidation. What is the market cares about the data center build out right now? That's it. Like simple as that. And so this consolidation brings you to about 80, unless you have a hyperscaler deal, which would probably bring you more like 120 or higher, 140. pdyn, Palladyne. This says AI. I don't think I can talk about this. 300 million is too small. Augment human performance by combining human intelligence. Dude, this is like a 30-year outplay if they survive. That's a guess. They would need funding and stuff like that. I cannot do that one. That's way out there. Video we did. Lite. I think these guys report, right? Yeah. So Lumentum, again, these guys have a big, I think this is long range fiber. No photonics. Lasers. Da, 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 da. I don't know exactly where. Hey, they're in my hometown of San Jose. I should probably go by and see. 70 billion is pretty heavy. Just new inductee of the S&P 500. I think we can see this retest is that prior support. This looks pretty full. So of all the fiber plays, a fiber plays kind of played out, right? So like you can look at Amphenol post earnings, already post earnings. Look at GLW post earnings, little pullback and holds. I would expect more of the same. At a $70 billion market cap, this is not a small company anymore. So they need to show real growth. It's possible. I think if they're long range fiber, it would be more about like, you'd have to look in the Edgar and look at transcripts of like deals with, like we're talking about before, Verizon, T-Mobile, that kind of stuff, like a Charter, whoever, to see if they're getting contracts to lay like long range fiber, if that's what they do. I don't know what that's what they do. But about $1,000, similar trajectory as like a SanDisk, potentially like 1250 is upside max on this guy. Keel, this is a hyperscaler. This is the least quality of low quality ones. But listen, I forgot what company this is rebranded. $4 maybe is your upside on Keel, and it's got to hold 275. So very bullish on Path. So again, software is still not in vogue. What I'm not talking about is I'm not talking about software. This quarter, as we go through, you can be bullish on these things, but you really want to be bullish like very long term, not short term. So this near term price action, all I can tell you is that yes, this is in fact support. This entire area up to 13. 13 is now resistance, which was prior support. So this area here now is absolutely support. So this is more like, it's almost like SMCI, right? Like SMCI, if you buy here now, I don't think that there's anything to be really worried about, but I could be wrong. That's leadership. But the price is at support. The price is at support, hasn't broken out. 13 is resistance. Microsoft Meta, again, Microsoft Meta, both software names, not in the theme, right? It's just very crystal clear. The market is going to reward the theme right now. In the meantime, anything else that's not in the theme is at risk of a larger pullback. I'd say you could very likely, you will 400 again. more than likely on Microsoft here. You'll probably see just under 4, but it probably gets bid up. And this, just like this chart is just like Robinhood, just like SoFi, big move. Look, if I want to be constructive on this name, this is exactly what I want to see from a price action perspective. Play this out. This is to August. This is through the next quarter. So I think that Microsoft remains range bound for the next 3 months, legit, with a downside about 390 here. But again, this is my point of like, do you expect this to be a banger out of the gate near term? No, not. I don't even care about August, right? Like what I would care about here is the very long term of like 600-700 plus in like 5 years out. So for those reasons, I like Microsoft if you have a long enough time horizon, but not if you're thinking about anything crazy. They announced custom silicon, different story, right? That's it. Meta software. The market wants to know, there's 2 things that the market's thinking about right now. What percent of your growth, because they're all the hyperscalers, by the way, they're growing, right? That's not in question. But it's like, what percent of your growth are you spending on AI infrastructure? And if you're spending more than 50% of your growth, which a lot of these customers are, the next question is, are you going to have immediate ROI, or do I have to guess? And so for Microsoft, the question is that you have to guess more or less. Well, you have to guess. No, you have to guess more than Google, and you have to guess more than Amazon, because they have custom silicon where their margins when they sell that are much higher, right? Microsoft doesn't have that, but Microsoft has the staying power to me for sure. And so, anyways, Meta, when you think about it, it's like they can't even resell the cloud. So like Microsoft, tough spot. Meta, dude, even tougher spot. I think 586 remains support here because they're not reselling what they're spending on hyperscalers. They're actually using it internally for their company. So Meta, I don't want to see lose 586, but again, this is the youngest of your Mag 7s. I'll be real with you guys. This can come down a lot lower for no good reason. It has in the past. A lot lower, looks like 3s. It's very possible, not probable here, but absolutely possible. What I would need to say that's happening for sure is we lose this more recent support of about 580. And what that would look like is that looks like this kind of, and then down. So the first stop here would be 440 roughly, and then about 350. I see 350, I'm probably going to buy. That's where your large support is, right in this area. So you can see it when you zoom out on a larger time frame chart. And quite frankly, in the grand scheme of things, what is this? This is if you're new to the market, you're like, oh, that could never happen. 60% drawdown, bullshit. That has happened, and it can happen, and it will eventually happen again. This is a 76% drawdown. It's worse, right? They look like little blips on the radar, though, right? This right here, 45% drawdown. This right here, 40% drawdown. Happens, dude. It happens. Literally all the time happens to all good stocks. This 35% drawdown, regular. It's another day in the life of Meta. Right now, you're at 35% drawdown, 50% drawdown. Dude, it happens to all stocks. So I don't know why it would happen. Probably a legal overhang, something like that. But that's the risk right now. It's not a probable. And even if it does get down there, it will trigger below 580. If it's trending below 580, then you go to 440, and then you go to 350. If it can't hold 440, if it does hold 440, look, it goes like this. But it doesn't mean you're gonna hate me for this one. It doesn't mean that it can't like do this right behind it, right? So like, just like it did over here, it's all very possible. So trade it however you want. These are the levels. They remain the levels, they bend the levels. The levels aren't changing here. Upside resistance, 713 down to 688. Downside support, well, what was down support, 634. So that means that this whole area, this is primary support, and you have like a little bit of a secondary threshold that goes up to 634. So that 634 is now resistance, is how you should read that. So if it can't get through 634, it stays exactly in this little box between 630 and 580. That's the trading range on Lemita. Gloric, I'll do this for you. Clean Tech. I don't know a whole lot about these guys. I know that they're older. And I know that some people like them. So right here, so this is the first up. So that's overhead resistance at 14s. I think we know. If this can hold 13, this is a micro cap. So it's a little bit tougher. I would only use a daily chart on this. If it can hold 13s, I would assume this goes sideways for a bit, but eventually if it breaks through 15s, you have the trade. You know the trade. This is the setup. So you're building 16 first, and then if they do really well, this is 20 bucks. But micro cap, have to have a lot of things go right. Can't have any insiders show up selling or anything like that, or that whole thesis breaks. CRDO isn't switching and stuff. So this is probably going to move on Arista tonight, tonight. I don't know if BlackBerry has an AI edge robotics. BlackBerry trades like it does right now. I don't know what the story is. Potentially, Nokia's story is they bought Illumina. They bought Illumina, which is a real freaking company. It's like a legit company, and all of a sudden their whole narrative changed. I don't know and then they got to deal with Nvidia. I mean, I don't know. Did BlackBerry get a deal with Nvidia? Who knows? Edge, there's a difference though between edge and robotics. I do want to be clear. So AI edge, I think the market is not sure what the edge actually means right now. So the edge is a very broad term. It can mean a lot of things. Dude, did the market close already? Dang. Market closed. I'm going to do a little bit longer, and then I got to go. But robotics, so anything at the end point is the edge, and that could be your cell phone, that could be a robot, that could be a car. Then there's connectivity to the actual edge, and then there's the edge of the data centers. So the edge of the data centers is what the market is actually implying. From there, if you're data, you travel through the connectivity network, which is like a Verizon or a T-Mobile, and then you get to the actual, what we call client side, which is your cell phone, your car, or your robot, right? And so that piece, I don't think the market is for sure on yet. But then we look at something like a Synaptics, which is exactly that. I think what I can say on Synaptics, and I didn't mention this before, probably one of the most interesting plays. So if the market is going to reward the actual physical client side, is what we call edge, Synaptics is probably the most consolidated play, pure play, if you one of the most purest plays, and that's what I would watch. If the market, the revenue component there is not nearly as big as the server side, as the edge of the servers, the edge of the data centers, but look at this potential. I think these guys are gonna report this week. This is probably one of your biggest flyers. Second biggest, somebody mentioned Ambarella. Also edge, client side edge, similar setup. So both of those two companies I would very much watch. I call it client. from the enterprise. In enterprise language, we called it client-side edge. But yeah, this is interesting. Anyways, guys, listen, I can't believe the market closed. So I'm gonna let you guys do your thing. I will see you soon. And holy crap, we went through a lot, and my God, the market is over. So I'll see you guys mañana. All right, fam. I love you all. On to the next one. And if you're around Chicago, I'll see you this weekend. Link is in the description if you want to join or show up. Adios. Peace.